Hundreds of students are on their way to participate in a student march to the union buildings. Students plan to protest there ahead of President Jacob Zuma's meeting with management and students with regards to the university fee increases. SABC reporter Chriselda Lewis is on a bus with the students. A very good morning to you, Chriselda. What is the mood like in the bus, and have you left already for Pretoria?
Well, a very good morning to you, Elvis. We're joining you once again live inside one of the buses that are moving from Wits University to the union buildings. I can tell you hundreds of students are on these buses. There are plenty of them even behind me at the morning. As you can see, a jovial atmosphere here. Students from all different political parties are saying they're going to the union buildings with one voice, calling for the fees not to be increased in 2016. As you can hear, it's a bit difficult, to broadcast under these conditions, but you can't take away the jubilation that these students are bringing to the union buildings. Let me have a word with you first of all. You've been up from very early. With one voice, you're going to the union buildings. I keep asking the same question every time because the experiences of each student are different. Why are you on this bus? You told me about a financial struggle. That's why you're going to the union buildings today.
To be on the bus, I want to see Jacob Zuma to raising the 0% increase. And then we are fighting as students for free education. We are, as students, to say President Zuma and to agree on a 0%. We are suffering every January, every February, early in the year. We are suffering as a student, but we want to study like any other person who is studying.
Personal story, you were telling me that your fees are absolutely unaffordable. You owe the university a lot of money. There's simply no way that you're going to be able to pay it back.
I owe university 60. So I'm not sure my bursary will pay or what, but I don't know. I'm not. So next year I gotta have to. If I'm not next year, so that's the problem I have.
Right, thank you very much. Let's move to some other students. What the struggle is about that's going to the things today. Can we have? You're live on television. The struggle. Are you in your first, second, or third year? You're in your third year. Do you have a little brother or sister, perhaps, who is going to university in the next few years? All right. So, what is the struggle for you? What is it about for you?
Okay, this struggle is about not only Wits students. It's all about all the learners that are coming. The students that are in high schools. University. If their fees are increasing like this ridiculously, they can't afford to be in the highest university. And as well, we will be excluded if the fees are very high like this one. And our students, they pass with distinctions, but then it's very bad and sad when you are very awarded to be in the university, but then the fees, you don't have any money to pay. Yes, we are suffering. Our parents don't afford anything, but then can you please the government work on this, because we cannot study because of the money. Yes, we are capable, we can pass and we meet the requirements that the university needs, but then the fees, they're just not in our side, and that's wrong. Yes.
Thank you very much. Let's perhaps one more student here, but perhaps will be able to speak to us as well. Let's come to the ladies here. Are we able to speak to one of you too? Let me come here. What is the struggle for? What is it about for you? You're on the bus. What time did you wake up this morning? And what are you hoping will come from these talks between President Jacob Zuma, your student leaders, as well as the executives of universities?
Actually, I don't even live on campus. I live off campus, so I did have to wake up at around 5. And, obviously we're hoping for a 0% increase to be approved. 6% is still a bit much, considering that the current fees, most people actually can't even pay it, and some matrics already not come here because of this current school fees. So, we're hoping for a 0% increase Yes, that's what I think is going to come out of this, because we've been working very hard and they can see it now that we're very about achieving this goal, because at first I think they didn't take us seriously. As we started very little and the whole country has come to a standstill, obviously I think we can do this. We can do this.
Just one more, yeah, but very importantly, some of the people who picked the brunt, camera person Chulo Munare, to come with us. Also, to speak to some of the lecturers. The lecturers at Wits have to listen to the plight of these students. Thank you very much for joining us. As well, a lecturer. Your role, you were telling me a bit earlier, is to support these students. You get to hear sometimes firsthand what their challenges are.
Well, I mean, I think students face a range of challenges, and it's not just financial. It is quality of education, which they come into it as well. So this protest, in fact, has much bigger implications than university fees. It includes the need for proper and well-funded secondary and primary education as well, because it's out of that system that our students come to Wits. And if they're not well prepared, they struggle with an additional layer, particularly if they come from poor households. And what we're ultimately getting in South Africa is a system where if you come from wealth, you have access to good secondary education and you will probably get a university degree. If you do not, if you're from a working class background or a rural background, you will struggle to get to university because you will not have parents who can afford to pay your fees, and you will have a backlog in terms of your educational challenges as well. And those students have incredibly hard time at university to pass, to get. And often they eventually do, but it's their first year is really hard, and those students then lose NEFSA's funding because they didn't necessarily pass their courses, or find additional ways to then get them through university, never mind the starting costs that are absolutely ridiculous in a country like ours.
What are some of the stories that you've heard from some of the students in your class? Perhaps some of them having to leave because they simply cannot afford.
No, we often have students who finish a year degree, like a first year, for example, or second year, but then they have to go and work for the next year to actually pay their fees. And some of them never make it back because they also support brothers and sisters at home who might be able to go to university if the sibling actually is able to raise the money. And students often, we have students who sleep, we've had this in the past, with students who actually sleep in university buildings because they can't afford accommodation. Students who can't necessarily eat regular meals, and so they struggle to actually just make it through a day. And if students don't eat and if they don't have decent accommodation, it would be very, very difficult for those students to concentrate on their work.
Thank you very much there. Some of the voices as well, show of support as well from the lecturers at this university, Urban, who are saying students often go to them and complain about the fact that they have to go and work instead of studying, and some of them sleeping in lecture halls, some of them sleeping in some of the buildings at universities because they simply cannot afford the accommodation. If you're going to be able to afford the fees, then it's either you're going to have to sacrifice accommodation. So essentially, this is what these students are saying this is all about. It's not about bringing the country to a standstill. It's about getting somebody to listen to their plight. They do not want the fees to be increased. They simply cannot afford it. So they're really hoping, I think like many of the other hundreds of students who are on the buses here, Tulo, if you could just move towards that direction. There's another bus here next to us, also singing struggle songs, really hoping for the best coming out of these talks between the head of state, President Jacob Zuma, of course, and the heads of these institutions, as well as the leaders of these students. But we'll continue broadcasting from inside these buses here on SABC News. Stay tuned for all of that. We'll certainly hear a lot more voices coming through from the students as well as lecturers who are also on these buses to support these young people. Well, it seems like the bus is just about starting up at the moment. We're about to go. So we'll catch you again later when we're en route to the Union buildings.